Welcome to our channel Flash Film. Don't forget to subscribe. Today we are going to talk about the movie starts by showing us a woman named Leah getting ready to go to work while her fiancé, named Dave, stays in bed. She reminds him of their evening and gives him a kiss before leaving. Stopping at the cafe, she meets a man named Carter who smiles at her. Then she grabs her coffee and leaves. In the evening, she attends a party with friends, including some named Eve. After the party, in the living room, Leah sees Dave having fun with one of Eve's children. When they return home, Leah brings up the topic of children, expressing her desire to start a family. Dave refuses, stating that he's not ready, which frustrates Leah. She then decides to end their relationship. 2 months later, Leah is working late at the office. Her boss comes in and advises her to go home because her boyfriend is waiting for her. However, Leah lets him know that she broke up with him 2 months ago. Another day, Leah is at a bar when a man starts hitting on her, which she doesn't like. Carter steps in and pretends to be her boyfriend to ward off the man. Later, Leah offers to buy him a drink. They start chatting and Carter asks if she has a man in her life. Leah then tells him that she broke up with him 2 months ago. They spend the whole evening chatting, and as they leave, they end up kissing. Then, Leah goes home, radiant. The next day at the office, Leah receives a call from Carter. She asks him with a smile how he got her number. Carter responds that he's an expert and asks if they can see each other again that evening. She agrees. In the evening, they go to a nightclub, dance, and kiss. Then, they go to the restroom and have a good time. The next day, Leah introduces Carter to her friends, Alicia and Karen. They all find him charming. Later, they are at Lee's place in the evening chatting. Leah receives a message from Dave, but she ignores it. Then, Leah asks Carter to come with her to her parents' house this weekend to celebrate the national holiday there. Carter agrees. She lets him know that her father loves baseball. The weekend arrives. Leah introduces Carter to her parents. Carter behaves so well that Lee's parents are pleased. He surprises Lee's father with 2 stadium tickets to watch the baseball game, which makes Lee's father happy. At night, Lee's mother invites Carter to sleep in the guest room. Leah wants to spend some quality time with him, but he refuses to respect her parents' decision. The next day, Leah tells her mother that she feels like she really loves Carter. In the evening, they say a prayer before dinner. Once the weekend is over, Carter and Leah head home. On the way, Carter stops at a gas station and goes into the shop to buy something. A stranger approaches to admire the car, and Carter thinks he's hitting on Leah, so he abruptly comes up behind him and starts hitting him violently. Leah starts screaming for him to stop, but he continues until the station manager comes out and fires a warning shot, pointing his gun at him. Carter stops then and asks Leah to get in the car. They quickly drive away. Carter tries to talk to Leah, but she tearfully asks him not to say anything because she no longer knows who he is. When they arrive home, Carter tries to explain that he has never reacted like this before, but Leah leaves without saying a word. In the morning, she wakes up to a message from Carter asking to meet, but she ignores it. A few days later, at the office, Leah is doing her work and sees Carter talking to his secretary. She asks him what he's doing there, and Carter responds that he's worried about her and invites her to dinner, but Leah refuses. That evening, Leah explains to her friend Karen what's going on, but Karen advises her to accept his invitation, saying that maybe he'll give her a good reason. On the evening of the dinner, Carter apologizes to Leah and tries to explain, but she isn't convinced. Telling her she can't forget what happened, Carter asks her if she still loves him, but Leah responds that she's no longer sure about her feelings. Carter gets angry once again and hits the table, which frightens Leah, then she decides to end the relationship. Carter continues to call her from different numbers, but Leah still ignores his calls. One morning, when Leah leaves her house to go to work, she finds Carter waiting for her outside. She quickly gets into her car and drives off. Upon arriving at the office, she asks her secretary to change her contact information. Then she goes to get her coffee as usual. Once again, Carter shows up trying to approach her. Leah starts screaming at him to stop and to stay away from her. Then, she leaves. In the evening, Leah explains the situation to her friends. They advise her to go to the police. When Leah explains to the officer what's happening, telling him that Carter is harassing her and calling her every day, the officer tells her that what she's describing isn't enough to arrest someone and says he will issue a restraining order for her. In the evening, when Leah finishes work and gets ready to go home, Carter tries to scare her by writing on a piece of paper that if he can't have her, no one else can. But she gets into her car and drives away. The next day, while Carter is in a meeting, a police officer comes to serve him with a restraining order. Then, the boss asks Carter to leave the office immediately. In the evening, Carter goes to Leah's place and steals her spare key to make a copy. One morning, as she heads to work, he enters her home to hack into her computer. In the evening, Leah returns home but can't find her cat. She asks her neighbor, who also hasn't seen it, and promises to keep an eye out. Then, Leah starts cooking. Dave calls her and says he can't forget her, then asks if they can meet to talk. The next day, they discuss, and Dave tells her he doesn't want to lose her and suggests starting anew, which Leah accepts. Meanwhile, Carter, having hacked into Leah's computer, digs through her secrets to find something. One evening, Dave and Leah are at a restaurant. When Leah notices Carter's presence, which frightens her, she asks Dave to leave immediately. Dave asks her what's wrong and she explains. Dave then decides to approach Carter and lets him know that his presence is disturbing Leah, asking him to leave. But Carter responds that it's a public place. Dave tells him that Leah doesn't want to see him anymore, but Carter retorts that she can't forget the nights they spent together, which infuriates Dave. He then threatens him and Carter leaves the restaurant. Dave accompanies Leah home before leaving. The next day, Carter is at the police station for questioning for violating the restraining order. He explains that he didn't know Leah was in the same restaurant as him. The officer notices his lack of honesty and tells him to leave Leah alone. In the evening, Carter goes to Leah's house and starts installing cameras. Mrs. McCarthy, Leah's neighbor, catches him and asks what he's doing. Carter lies to her, saying that Leah asked him to wait. Mrs. McCarthy realizes that Carter is a dangerous man and goes back to her house, but Carter starts following her. Mrs. McCarthy quickly runs to enter her house, but Carter manages to get in and pushes her down the stairs, killing her. Shortly after, Leah returns with Dave. They take a shower together without realizing that Carter is watching them. Then, they have a good time and Carter hides under the bed. Later, he leaves while Dave and Leah are asleep. The next morning, Leah gives Dave a watch as a gift, writing on the back, "To the only man I'll ever love, Leah." Dave promises never to take it off. Later, while going to exercise, Leah sees posters everywhere about her lost cat. Immediately, she turns back and goes to the police to report it. The officer then informs her that his real name isn't Carter, he legally changed his name. When she returns home, Leah sees police officers in front of Mrs. McCarthy's house. She asks what's going on, and the officers tell her that McCarthy has passed away, having fallen down the cellar stairs. Leah is shocked by this news. The next day, when Leah arrives at the office, her boss summons her to the conference room to show her the video of her having a good time with Dave, claiming it was sent from her email address. Leah starts to explain that it's Carter who hacked into her computer, but her boss is angry and suspends her immediately. That evening, she talks to her friends who ask her to talk to Dave about it, but she responds that Dave is on a business trip. She plans to talk to him about it as soon as he returns. Before Dave's departure for his return trip, Carter loosened the nuts on his car wheels to sabotage it. As soon as Dave hits the road for his return journey, Carter follows him for a while, the nuts start to come off, and then Dave has an accident. Carter arrives and suffocates him to ensure he dies completely, thus retrieving his watch. At home, Leah keeps calling Dave until the police knock on her door to inform her that Dave has had an accident and did not survive. The next day, Leah returns from mourning, sad, and lies down. Then she finds the watch she had given to Dave. She goes to the police to assert that Carter killed Dave because he was the one who left the watch at her place. But the officer tells her they can't arrest him based on assumptions. Once again, Carter is at the police station for questioning about Dave's death, but they have no evidence to arrest him. Later, Leah received a strange message from her own computer. She immediately went to the police to request protection, but the law couldn't allow it at the moment without evidence. The officer invited her for a coffee. At the cafe, the officer gave her a plan to defend herself on her own. At that moment, Leah decides to take matters into her own hands. She begins by covertly trailing Carter and discovers his residence. She patiently waits outside his door until he departs. Then she rings the bell and enters his premises. Leah observes her photographs scattered throughout and even locates her cat. Attempting to hack into his computers proves fruitless, so she vandalizes the property and leaves a cautionary message on the wall. Another day, she sends a package to the company where Carter works, leading to his dismissal. Carter storms out of the office very upset. Later, back at his place, he finds his computers destroyed and sees Leah's provocative message on the wall. That evening, Carter shows up at Leah's place, but she's waiting with her weapon. Carter manages to make her drop her weapon and they engage in a struggle. Eventually, she weakens him. She then rushes to retrieve her weapon and fires 2 warning shots before firing the fatal shot that ends Carter's life. Afterwards, she goes to the police to report the attack, invoking self-defense. Leah is now free and resumes her life as before. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on our videos. Thank you for supporting us by sharing the video, and once again, thanks for watching.